You've lost something. You don't remember when or how, yet you know it's gone. So you set out to find it. You search through forests, across mountains, into the deepest caves of your own mind. When you finally spot it, a flash of white, a glimpse of something pure, you realize the truth. You've been chasing yourself this entire time. The Zen path to enlightenment lives in 10 ancient paintings that emerged over 1,000 years ago. Each picture shows one phase of awakening. Each reveals something you thought you knew. The twist. The 10th picture, the final threshold, doesn't show a glowing saint on a mountaintop. It shows a round-bellied, laughing old man walking through a marketplace, bothering people. That ending changes everything. The paradox at the heart of Zen Buddhism goes like this. Enlightenment can't be taught, can't be described, can't be mapped. Yet masters hand you a map anyway. They say there are no stages, awakening is sudden and complete. Then they show you 10 pictures depicting gradual progress. Words fail. Images might point you in the right direction, like pointing at the moon. The finger isn't the moon, yet it shows you where to look. 12th century Chan master Kuòān Shīyuǎn, Kuòān in Japanese, composed the 10-picture cycle, refining earlier buffalo herding sets with fewer stages. He turned familiar herding motifs into a precise training mirror. Images, verse, brief comment. Each picture came with a poem and commentary. Though most monasteries today display only the images. The ox represents your true nature. BuddhaNature, original mind, that part of you that was never confused, never suffering, never lost. The forgetting happened long ago. Being too busy with you, your thoughts, your problems, your identity, blocks the view of this wild, pure, untamed awareness living underneath. The journey begins. 10 pictures from completely lost to completely found. From seeker to finder to the realization that there was nothing to find. The sequence matters. You can't skip ahead. Even if enlightenment is sudden, the preparation takes time. Let's walk this journey picture by picture. By the end, you'll see why the laughing man in picture 10 might be the wisest figure in Zen. A man stands alone in wilderness, trees everywhere. He's searching, yet he doesn't know what he's looking for. He looks lost. Picture yourself before practice began. Something feels wrong. Life feels empty. Relationships feel hollow. Success feels meaningless. Everything you thought you wanted sits in your hands. Yet you're still suffering. So the looking starts. Maybe picking up a book on Buddhism. Maybe starting to meditate. Maybe realizing at 3 in the morning that no amount of scrolling will fix the emptiness. The ox is already here. It never left. The view is blocked because the looking itself creates the problem. It's like tearing the house apart for your keys while they're in your hand. That's what's happening. The Buddha nature being desperately sought is the awareness doing the seeking. External searching comes first to realize it's internal. First paradox. Now he sees tracks, hoof prints in the mud, signs that something was here. The first real meditation experience happens here, first moment of actual silence. First time a thought appears out of nowhere and the question arises, wait, I didn't create that thought. Where did it come from? Glimpses arrive, a moment of peace during meditation where time disappeared, a walk where everything's texture suddenly stood out, the air on your skin, the sound of leaves, the aliveness of now. The ox hasn't appeared yet. Yet, its reality becomes undeniable because you found evidence. The danger emerges. People get addicted to spiritual experiences at this moment. They chase the feeling, want that peace, that clarity, that high again. Chasing the tracks isn't the same as finding the ox. The 9th century monk asked Master Zhaozhou, "What is Buddha?" Zhaozhou answered, "The oak tree in the garden." The monk was confused. Zhaozhou was pointing at the tracks. BuddhaNature is right here, hiding in ordinary things, if you know how to look. Zen collections like the Gateless Gate point straight at this. The shift happens, skepticism dissolves, something is there. The quest becomes real. He sees it, only the rear end, only a glimpse through the trees, yet it's there. The ox is real. The first direct experience of your true nature arrives. You actually experience no self for a moment. Direct perception replacing conceptual understanding. The illusion of being a separate me becomes transparent. What it feels like. Time stops, thought stops. Awareness remains, pure presence. Observer and observed dissolve. Only presence remains. It lasts maybe 5 seconds. Then thought crashes back. Whoa, was that it? I need to tell someone, wait. And it's gone. The revelation, the ox was never tame. It's wild, free, powerful. Your true nature isn't some peaceful, controlled, spiritual thing. It's alive, raw, untamed. Huineng, the 6th patriarch, experiences this while hearing someone recite the Diamond Sutra. One line, "Let your mind flow freely without dwelling on anything." And boom, he saw the ox. Seeing isn't catching. The vision arrived, now it's gone. Making it come back isn't possible. Forcing it isn't possible. People go crazy at this threshold. I had it. Where did it go? It didn't go anywhere. The chasing started again. He's got a rope around the ox's nose, gripping tight. The ox is pulling away, trying to escape. Full-on wrestling match. The training phase arrives, and most people quit here. The true nature has been glimpsed, yet staying there doesn't hold. Sits turn into scrimmages. Thoughts pull away. Emotions hijack. The ego fights for survival because catching the ox means the death of everything you think you are. It's hard work, quiet, unglamorous. Sitting on a cushion, legs screaming, mind racing, thinking I've made zero progress. Doing the same practice day after day when nothing seems to happen. Like whispering in a crowded restaurant, 10 tables talk at once and one of them is you. The ego will fight dirty. It'll convince you you're special or convince you you're worthless. It'll make practice feel pointless or make you obsessed with attainment. It'll use Buddhism itself as another identity. I'm a serious practitioner now. Hakuin thought he was enlightened at this picture. His teacher, Shoju, asked him to demonstrate. Hakuin gave an elaborate explanation. Shoju grabbed him and threw him out of the room. That's not it. Hakuin was trying to catch the ox with his intellect. Wrong tool. What unfolds when practice continues long enough, concentration builds so presence becomes stable. Attachments weaken so grasping at experiences lessens. The ego's tactics become visible so you see how it defends itself. Years pass, maybe decades. One day realization dawns. It was never about catching. It's about stopping the chase. At this point, most seekers quit or think they've arrived. Zen insists, keep going. There's a deeper death ahead. The rope is still there, yet it's slack. The ox walks beside him, no longer fighting. Trust begins. Practice becomes natural. Meditation isn't forced. Sitting happens because it's what you do. Mindfulness isn't forced. Thoughts get noticed because that muscle has been trained. The ox isn't tamed through domination. It's tamed because the struggle to control it ended. What changes? Less effort, spontaneous moments of presence while listening to someone talk. The trap. This picture feels so good that people camp here. I'm peaceful now. I'm mindful. I'm spiritual. Peaceful isn't free. Mindful isn't awake. The rope is still being held, and that rope is the need to control, to hold on, to make sure you don't lose it again. That's the actual suffering. He's riding the ox now, no rope, playing a flute. The ox knows the way home. Joy lives here, real, effortless joy. Everything is easier. Someone cuts in front of you at the coffee shop. Annoyed for 2 seconds, then it's gone. No story, no grudge, no ruminating for hours. The energy of life is being ridden instead of being dragged by it. The old Zen saying goes, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Same activities. Completely different experience. No resistance. A question starts forming. If I'm riding the ox, and the ox is my true nature, and I'm experiencing my true nature, then who's riding? Who's watching? Who's experiencing? That question breaks everything open. The ox is gone, only the man sitting peacefully. Moon rising, mountains in the distance. Tranquility. As Dogen says, to study the self is to forget the self. Picture 7 is where forgetting begins. Obsessing about true nature or Buddha nature or awakening stops. You're here, present, without needing to be anywhere else or anyone else. What happened to the ox? Integration happens so fully that no separation remains. Like learning to ride a bike. First, every movement demands attention, then one day riding just happens. Where did the instructions go? They dissolved into action. As D.T. Suzuki notes, this is non-dual integration. The supposed gap between you and your nature was a habit, not a fact. All the Buddhist concepts, mindfulness, awareness, Buddha nature, they were training wheels, useful pointing tools. Once living, it becomes reality. The words aren't needed anymore. A Zen master doesn't walk around thinking, I'm being mindful now. They're present, naturally, effortlessly. What drops away? Spiritual identity, pride in practice, seeking, even the subtle division of practiced self versus unpracticed self. This feels like the end. It's not. Nothing. An empty circle. Void. Emptiness. No ox, no person, no anything. The illusion of separateness collapses completely. The you who started seeking, who found the ox, who tamed it, who rode it, that you dissolves. There's no one there to be enlightened. Enlightenment happens, yet there's no me experiencing it. Experience without experiencer. Every single thing you thought was you, your personality, your history, your preferences, your spiritual achievements, revealed as empty, not real, never was. Dogen wrote, to study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be enlightened by the 10,000 things. Picture 8 is that forgetting. Terrifying, because the separate me falls away. Liberating, because it never bound you in the first place. Studies on deep practice often show reduced default mode activity, the brain's self-referencing network. correlating with less felt separateness. The feeling of being a separate me isn't merely a philosophical concept. It's a pattern of neural firing, and it can cease. Zen calls this the great death, the great letting go. Die before you die, so when you die, you don't. People misunderstand this picture as depression, meaninglessness, or nihilism. It's the fertile void, the space from which everything arises, like the silence between musical notes that makes the music possible, like the empty space in a cup that makes it useful. When Rinzai experiences this, he laughs and says, "There's not much to Huangbo's Buddhism." His teacher hits him. Rinzai laughs harder. He saw through the whole game. Staying here isn't possible, though. Some people do. They camp in the void, call it ultimate truth, become detached and cold. They found emptiness yet forgotten form. The path isn't complete. Pure nature. Cherry blossoms falling, river flowing, mountain standing, no person still. Yet the emptiness of Picture 8 has transformed into the fullness of life itself. The Heart Sutra declares, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Picture 9 is that truth embodied. The void is the world expressing itself. Everything visible is Buddha nature manifesting. When looking at a tree, you don't see a tree that contains Buddha nature. You see Buddha nature being a tree. The tree is the source manifesting as tree. And so are you. And so is everyone. And so is everything. The old poets capture this. The wild geese do not intend to cast their reflection. The water has no mind to receive their image. Everything simply is perfectly itself without trying. Color returns. Beauty returns. The world becomes vibrant again, yet now clarity reveals it. A flower isn't pretty. It's the entire universe flowering. The path has moved from seeking to training to dissolving to recognizing that what was sought always lived here. Yet this recognition could create detachment, peaceful yet distant, content yet uninvolved. One picture remains, and it's the most important one. The return to the world matters because awakening without compassion is incomplete. Compassion ripens as non-separation. If nothing is other, how could you not help? The Bodhisattva vow lives in Picture 10. A round-bellied, laughing elder, threadbare clothes, a wine gourd in one hand, the other offering help, moves through a busy marketplace. He looks completely ordinary. No glow, no halo, no floating. If you passed him on the street, you'd think he's the guy who smiles at strangers on the subway for no reason. Enlightenment. What all 10 pictures were pointing toward. He's in the marketplace, the messy, noisy, chaotic world of ordinary human life, and he's helping people. The round belly is a traditional Zen symbol. He's swallowed the world, digested all of reality. Nothing is rejected. Nothing is separate. He contains multitudes. Why is he laughing? Because he sees the cosmic joke. All that seeking, all that struggle, all that training. And where did it lead? Right back to where he started. The marketplace was Buddha nature all along. The people were Buddha nature all along. He was Buddha nature all along. Seeking enlightenment was Buddha nature seeking itself. The hands, this separates Zen from the detached sage stereotype. He's in the world, fully engaged, helping. One Zen master said, "After enlightenment, I was more depressed than ever, because now I could see everyone else's suffering so clearly and I couldn't not help." That's bodhicitta, the heart that wants to relieve suffering. Kuòān wrote, "Meditation in the midst of activity is 1,000 times superior to meditation in stillness." Picture 10 embodies this teaching. Enlightenment lives in serving breakfast, in arguing with your spouse, in stuck traffic, in grocery shopping, in every ordinary moment, transformed by presence and compassion. The wine gourd means he's celebrating in a life is absurdly beautiful way. He's free from rules, free from rigid morality, yet his actions naturally benefit others because he sees no separation. Many link this figure to Hotei, often depicted as a round-bellied, laughing mendicant, though traditionally, Hotei is also associated with Maitreya in folk belief. The spirit here is the same, relaxed presence that helps. Look at the full circle. Picture 1, lost in the wilderness. Picture 5, riding the ox home. Picture 9, returning to the source. Picture 10, back in the wilderness. Yet now it's a marketplace, and now he's helping. He returns to where he started, transformed. The wilderness that terrified him in Picture 1 is now his playground in Picture 10. The old saying goes, before I studied Zen, mountains were mountains and rivers were rivers. While I studied Zen, mountains were not mountains and rivers were not rivers. After I understood Zen, mountains were mountains and rivers were rivers. Enlightenment reveals the extraordinary nature of the ordinary through full embrace. The marketplace is nirvana. Suffering is enlightenment. Samsara is the Pure Land. You have to walk through all 10 pictures to see it. Which picture are you standing in right now? Picture 1, sensing something is missing. Picture 4, wrestling with practice, wondering if progress is being made. Picture 6, things finally flowing, somewhere else. Does any of this sound familiar? The ox was never lost. Freedom is already present. Recognition catches up. These pictures aren't about becoming enlightened. They're about recognizing what already is. Recognition takes time. The ox has to be sought, found, caught, tamed, ridden, forgotten. Each phase prepares for the next. Most people are somewhere between pictures 1 and 4. The seeking and training phase. That's normal. That's the path. If frustration lives in your practice, if the work feels hard, if you've seen the ox yet can't seem to catch it, you're right where you need to be. Keep going. The marketplace is waiting. You've been chasing yourself this entire time. Now you see there was never anywhere else to go. Zen has one approach to mapping enlightenment. Other traditions see it differently. The ancient Theravada tradition, the oldest surviving school of Buddhism, mapped a completely different journey. 4 stages where every fetter binding you to suffering gets systematically destroyed. No metaphors, no poetry. Direct, practical instructions for liberation. The Mahayana tradition, they mapped 10 stages to becoming a Buddha, fully awakened with the power to help infinite beings across infinite realms. Multiple lifetimes, supernatural abilities, cosmic scope. Same destination, 3 completely different maps. We're covering all of them in the series. Next episode, Theravada's 4 stages to nirvana, the oldest path to freedom. If these 10 pictures revealed something for you, drop a comment. Which picture resonates with where you are right now? This was the part 1 of our Path to Enlightenment series. Episode 2 drops soon, covering Theravada's completely different approach. Subscribe for the full series and hit the bell so you don't miss the next episode. Until then, keep seeking the ox. And remember, you're already riding it.